around. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're definitely one of the best shows around, and we're getting a lot of attention. People love us when they come to our shows. Our ticket sales are pretty good, but we just want to just lift our ticket sales up a tiny bit more so we can pay everyone more and work more, get to more people. Because I feel like there's a huge fan base out there which we've hardly tapped.
Absolutely. I think after I had that call the other day, I thought there was a great opportunity. I checked out all of your properties and everything like that, all of your
Yeah.
socials and your website, and yeah, had a bit of a look around. And the other guys will attest to this. I kind of found you probably got your low-hanging fruit in the get your house in order module, which we can go through, which is some
Yeah,
tracking and just general sort of digital hygiene stuff. So
definitely.
I think after chatting to Greg the other day, that's probably where we'll start,
Mhm.
and then we'll move into that. But when we have our one-on-one session, we can absolutely dive into exactly what that looks like and the structure of everything.
Yes, mate.
Cool,
Beautiful.
cool.
Okay. Yep.
We've seen a couple of extras join late. Hey, Diego, Amjad,
Hey,
Sim, how
buddy.
are you guys?
Oh,
Good.
good mate. How you doing?
Very, very good. Hope this Wednesday is treating you well. Everyone who's in Melbourne, I hope you rugged up because it's
Fucking
fucking
freezing.
freezing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it dipped into the minus this morning. It was like
yeah.
-2. Crazy.
I was up at 5 a.m. and it was not nice. It was really hard to get to the gym, but I made it.
Yeah, nice work. Nice work. Yeah, on the way back from the gym, it was colder than when I left. I was like, what's going on? We're going the wrong way. Yeah, no good. Cool. All right. Well, let's crack into the session. Everyone obviously has, other than Travis, everyone's met everyone, which is good. I actually thought we might end up with a few extras, a few new people that haven't been able to join. But it's funny, a lot of the people that I remember that have voted to vote at this time aren't here. So that's an interesting one. But we'll see how the time works for everyone moving forward. Cool. All right. Well, as you guys know, today is the session on outsourcing. So I've definitely found, as I've been speaking to everyone, always looking for, low-hanging fruit, quick wins, and how we can get some results quick. And I'm finding a lot of the issue, and look, it's the same with everyone in business or than anyone that's trying to market anything. Everyone's time poor. And I've been really finding that a lot of people can increase their productivity massively and sort of save them a lot of heartache through using contractors, whether that's offshore or local. But today we'll talk about more of the offshore side of things to really take a load off your shoulders. So just to sort of whip around before we jump into it, who out of you guys is currently using any type of online contractors like virtual assistants through, say, like a site like Upwork or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm using a virtual assistant.
Yep, cool. Anyone else? No, cool. Yeah, I know we spoke about that the other day, and it's something that I've done for probably 10 years, through just getting introduced to it through my best friend and business partner, Mark. And I was actually looking before. So for Reminisce, we've spent 38K USD over 10 years, and for Sellout Digital, I've spent 107 USD over since 2018. Like, you could probably quadruple that if I was using local contractors. And it's not an argument versus, like, for local versus non-local, but what I generally find is a lot of the benefits that you actually get from using websites like this to outsource uh, actually outweigh the potential negatives, or they're actually better contractors than some of the local people here, just because they've got a very strong work ethic. They're always online, and they value their role like a lot. So I've found that yeah, I've got some amazing contractors, and that's what I want to take you guys through today. So I'm just going to start my screen and then share my screen for you. As always, guys, anytime I'm waffling on and you guys want to ask questions, just let me know. No worries at all. We can just make this really interactive and crack into it.
Whoa.
Hang on, my headphones are just cocked it. I'll have to swap. Sorry, guys.
It's all good.
Can you actually still hear me okay without the headphones? Is there any
Yeah.
echo?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, if there's no echo, I don't need to use it. It's all good. Cool. All right, we'll whip through this stuff because we already went through it last week. So Travis, you're probably the only one that is new to the group. So if you haven't downloaded the school app yet, really beneficial to do it. It basically means that you'll get notified and everything like that anytime we put any content or do any posts, or it's just much easier than sort of having to rely on the email notifications and whatnot.
All right, cool.
Cool. We've already done the member intros as well, which is great. So as I said before, the goal of the outsourcing is to free up your time, free up your team, and to stop you working on low value tasks that either A, you don't need to be doing and spending your time on, or B, not as skilled as some of these contractors that you might use are. So there can be lots of traps, lots of myths and things like that. And so that's kind of what I want to take you through today, is just some potential traps that you might fall into and tips and tricks that I've learned over the last 10 years or so, specifically about using them for my events. So these are some of the myths. Again, let me know if you guys have heard any of these, but generally, if people are sort of anti outsourcing, they might say, oh, don't know about, the contractors. If they're overseas, they might not know my market. They might not have a good eye. That, the work might be poor quality. And I generally find that as long as you follow the right steps and get the right contractors on board, as I said before, it can actually be the opposite of that. Only for large companies, well, websites like Upwork and everything like that have absolutely blasted that out of the water. So anyone can and should use it. Again, like I said, only about cost cutting, definitely not. It can be to find the right talent, because what you're basically doing is you're not limiting yourself to your local area or people in Australia. You've got literally the entire world at your disposal. So the chances of you being able to find, no one's perfect, but as good a perfect for your position as needed globally is a lot bigger than it would be trying to find it locally. So quite often it's about getting the right person for the job. It doesn't have to be just people in the Philippines or, India or whatever. I've worked with a lot of people from Canada and the US, everywhere, all over the entire world. Some people think that it leads to job losses in the country. Again, it's just the globalization of everything that we do. So that's definitely not not a massive issue. It's basically a shift in what people are doing, not necessarily that they are losing a job, so to speak. And then communication barriers. Yeah, these guys get put through the ringer before they're allowed on the platform. So their English is always amazing, and the communication barrier is basically not there at all. So, like I said, those are generally the myths, but I have pretty much managed to debunk most of them throughout the last 10 years. So these are kind of the things that I've found that for event marketers are the best to outsource. And you'll notice that it kind of aligns with the 4 pillars of the system. Getting your tracking and analytics set up. It's always really, really important just to have a tech, guru at your disposal. I'll go through that in a sec to get your house in order. That is generally the biggest barrier for people having their shit together, because they sit there. If they don't have a big team, then you've got to try and do it yourself or get someone that you know to help you, because you don't necessarily have the knowledge how to set up a pixel, how to get the pixel on the website, exactly how to set it up properly on the tracking page, how to set up your conversions API and all this sort of technical stuff. And then you think, oh, well, to go and hire someone local to do that might be expensive, et cetera, et cetera. So that's generally the biggest barrier, and it can be as easy as just getting a job up on Upwork and having a virtual assistant who knows how to set this stuff up to do it for you. Graphic design, the explosion of Canva, and we can go through that shortly, has just completely changed the world in terms of the design side of things. So having a designer there that can just bash out designs is really important. And I'll go through, once we get into the lesson, I'll go through exactly how I've structured it for success, because you have your different types of designers. Video editing, same thing. The barrier between getting videos edited has just broken down. It used to be a really expensive, high-end thing, but now with tools like Canva and all the different other video editing tools you can get, a lot of people who just have a bit of design now can also now edit videos, and it just increases your output tenfold. And then social posting and email marketing. They're generally I guess the top 5 things I've found that you can outsource, along with any type of research or data entry or admin or anything like that. Spreadsheets and stuff like that, you don't really want to be spending your time there.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is basically how you want to think about setting up your resources for your outsourcing contractors. So going back to this, then how does this fit into this? So you generally will find that, and this is what I've found over the past 10 years, you'll have someone that you can use for design as a design resource, and then someone you can use as a tech resource. So at a very basic level, if you were going to just start your outsourcing journey, you might say, okay, first of all, where I'm falling down, and this probably leads back into your sellout score. So where you've scored yourself in the sellout marketing system, if you're kicking ass at getting your house in order, but you're struggling for content, well, then you'd obviously hire a design resource first. Someone like Diego, obviously you've got that skill and that output. So if that's something that you want to keep doing, you can do yourself, then maybe you'll hire a tech resource. So generally you find you can get people to cover all bases by having 2 areas, a tech and a design. So this kind of goes into a bit of a Bible for how to set everything up and which tools to use. So Upwork for hiring the contractors, I can go through that in a tick. Asana for the project management, Slack for communication, Loom for giving feedback. So I reckon Loom and Canva are my 2 favorite tools, absolute game changers. Google Drive for file storage, pretty obvious. Most people use Google Drive. And then, as I said before, Canva. So I'm just going to whip through these tools. So just whip around the room. Who is using any or all of these tools? Is anyone familiar with any of these?
Yep, most of them.
Yep, cool.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Oh,
There you go.
I was just gonna say, yeah. So I pretty much use like Google Sheets, Google Drive, and that for just database entries. Like for instance, if I do like a link tree, and be like, oh, sign up now for discounted tickets, blah blah blah. So yeah, so that's what I use the Google Drive and Google Sheets for, and the
Yep.
Google Docs, and then yeah, Canva. Canva, to be honest, I don't use too much because most of the time I just get a designer to design something.
Yeah, I'll show you guys how you can use Canva with your designer to basically just increase your output tenfold. I'll show
We
you guys
use
that.
Notion. It's like I guess like meeting notes and like tasks and all that kind of stuff. It's Asana looks cool. I got to look into it, but yeah, we use Notion. But Notion requires a lot of setup because it's like a blank page almost. But yeah, for tasks and meeting notes and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many tools out there, like whether it's Notion, whether it's Trello or Monday, you know, anything like that for project management. A lot of them are same, but different type things. So it doesn't have to be Asana. It can be whatever works for you. I've always used Asana, so I always recommend it. But any of those other tools, you know, if they work for your workflow, are fine
I
as
think
well.
Asana is probably a bit more project management specific. Like Notion, you got to set it up. Like it's like a blank canvas almost.
Yeah, okay, got ya.
Does Asana come like pre-built, or do you have to like set it all up from?
Yeah, you generally do have, they've got templates, so they've got different
Oh.
project templates, but you do have to sort of set it up. But I can show you guys how I've structured ours, and yeah, we can go through it.
Cool.
Cool. So Sin, you said you've got a contractor. So is anyone else familiar with Upwork at all, or everyone else hasn't really used Upwork at all?
We do a little bit. We're
Fiverr.
in the process of hiring someone now to do graphic design.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. So I'll just do a quick whip through the sort of platform. It's pretty simple to use. You know, these are all our contractors for Sellout Digital, for example. Easy to just post the job up, and you can see when this is kind of the process. So this is a job post that I did a while back. You can see here some of the sort of main call outs that I have is I want to not get any generic applications. So a lot of the time people will just grab their little cover note and just copy paste. You want to look out for people who've specifically read your job post and actually referenced things in their application about your job, because that shows that they're invested. I've generally found that if you just hire someone, oh, they've got good experience, they've got good reviews, they've just done a copy paste application, they're probably, you know, from an agency, or they're just going to try and apply for any old job. Whereas you can tell if they've actually taken the time to say, oh, I'd love to help you out. I think I can help you out with this and this, X, Y, and Z. That's when you'll get the people who are really invested in what you're doing. So that's probably the number one tip that I would give.
Yeah.
And then generally I'll put something at the bottom where it says, oh, please answer, you know, this question. And then that way, you know that they've actually read the job post properly if they reference the, you know, the answer to the question in their application. So that's really important as well. One tip, never put your brand name or your name, your full name, or anything like that in your application. You will just get flooded in your inbox and your LinkedIn and everything with contractors trying to spam you from everywhere. I made that mistake once. I put a client's name in and said, I want you to do something for this website, link to the website, and then the client was just getting flooded with all these applications and stuff. And they're like, what the hell's this? So yeah, I learned that one the hard way. So yeah, once you do that, then you can start really filtering through the applications, and it just becomes, you know, looking at the proposals, going through. This is obviously an old one, so they're not there anymore, but oh, they're in the archive here. What's going on? Oh, it's not logged in properly, that's why. And you can just basically, you know, shortlist them, and then I generally will speak to 3 people. I always do that with any of my hiring. I'll shortlist it to 3 people, even if you can generally know who you're going to hire, but never fall into the trap of the single, you know, the single hire. Always speak to 3 people, because sometimes people will surprise you, or you'll notice things for others that others don't have, etc. So list it down to 3, and then go ahead and, you know, make your hire. Generally, what I'll do as well is I won't allow any manual time. So when with the hiring, set your hourly rate range. Don't give them a range, don't give a set fee, and then generally they'll always start high. So you can always negotiate down. That's the one thing that I've always noticed. They'll generally be happy to start at the lower rate, and then you give them the option to be able to increase if everything goes well. So if they're pitching their hourly rate's $10, you might be able to start them at 8 and then say, look, we'll move up to 10 if everything goes well, type thing. And the general idea and what I found is you actually want to move them off Upwork. If you get a really good contractor and you build that trust and they're doing some great work for you, you want to move them off Upwork and then just go to a general sort of invoicing structure. And that's what I do with a lot of my contractors. Because Upwork takes a massive fee, like 20%. It's huge. And they charge in USD as well. And it's a real pain in the ass because they'll only charge you for one transaction. So if you've got a designer, a developer, all these different contractors, you'll get charged weekly. $500 might come out your account and then you can't reconcile it against what's what. So it's actually a lot easier to get the contractors off Upwork, get them to sign up to like a Wise or a Payoneer, something like that. Then they can get an Australian bank account through those services, and they just give you a BSB and an account number like a normal contractor here. They send you an invoice every month and you just pay them like that. It's the best way to do it. Then you can pay in USD and they get an extra 20% because they're not copping the Upwork fee. I generally don't allow manual time. I just think that it's better to keep them accountable. Some contractors, depending on what they're doing, might need it, but I found a lot of the time they don't. And then if you do move them off Upwork, then you want to use something like a Clockify. You can get a free account, doesn't cost, and that still tracks all of their time and everything as well, just like Upwork does. You can just set up projects and then they can track it all from there. But then when they send the invoice, they just send their Clockify report, and then that keeps them accountable.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was using Time Doctor for a while, but yeah, and a contractor actually said, I use Clockify, and I had a look at it, and it's free. Like you can upgrade, obviously, but the free version's fine. So
that's cool.
And always consider their time zone too. So a lot of the time, if they're offshore, Philippines, India, Pakistan, wherever it is, they seem to be online all the time. But it's definitely a consideration, especially if you're doing stuff for certain events. Like if you've got a launch, if you usually launch your events at 9 a.m., for example, and you've got someone in India or whatnot, and they're 5 hours behind, they may not be able to get up at that time. And then that's something that you need to consider because you might need them online. Roland, who's basically our kind of glue for everything we do, Reminisce, who kind of runs all of our back end and runs all our Audience Republic and database and website and everything like that. He's in Philippines and he's 2 hours behind, sometimes 3 if it's daylight savings. And yeah, he's okay to get up. If we've got an on sale at 9, he's fine to get up at 6. But these conversations are what we've had before we hired him to make sure that he'd be available for what we need. Because obviously being in events, things can be time sensitive. Cool. All right, I'm going to go through some of these tools just to sort of give you guys some tips. So for example, Asana. So you guys can still see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. So this here for Reminisce, this is our project event template that we have. So whenever we start a new event, we just duplicate this and then we go through and we allocate the assignees and then we put the due dates and spend, probably an hour going through setting up who needs to do what. But this structure we have for every single event. So it goes through from setting up the campaign, starting the Google folder, budgeting, guest lists, you know, tracker, all that sort of stuff. Month before launch, brief the artwork, promo video, lock in the acts, etc. Week before launch, brief in the street posters, set up the ads, you know, get Audience Republic pre-sale set up, ensure tracking's all done, etc. Do the write-up, day before launch, blah, blah, blah. And it goes through from that, goes through day before launch, launch day. Obviously, there's a lot of tasks in there. Day after launch, pre-sale week, day before tickets on sale, pre-sale day, general day, voting, which you guys won't have, but we have because it's Reminisce. And then, you know, other throughout the campaign, locals line up, etc., etc. So again, if you're not doing a massive festival, so to speak, you probably don't need this level of detail, but it's really handy to have at least some kind of structure set up, because what you generally find is when you do things and you find things that work and they don't work, you can get like caught up in the whole chaos of the launch and everything. Whereas we've kind of got it drilled down to where it kind of feels like a NASA launch. Like we've got the time, everything set up, like at 11:50, you know, add the pre-sale link into the link tree, change the Instagram bio, switch the website over, make sure it's all working. And it just, our contractors just go through and they know exactly what to do at each time. So then for me, my brain is like, that's out of there. That's out of my brain. They've got it completely covered because they're just following this exact process. And then I can be more focused on exactly what's going on the front end, making sure that, you know, we're getting everyone to share and getting all social proof and getting all everything behind the posts and everything like that. So having a structure like this is just absolute godsend.
And
Corey,
drill down into like time. You said there were time sensitive stuff. This is just like an overview of shit to do.
Yeah, but because this is just a template, it's got no dates or times or anything in there. But for each specific event, we'll go through and actually set it up and like give the allocations and then put times and stuff for each one of those days. Yeah.
Corey, do you recommend the paid plan for Asana or the free plan to start with?
You can get pretty good features out of the free plan. It's really if you want to only go and just set up like task dependencies and different columns with prioritization and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, you can really get a lot out of the free version of Asana, which is great.
Okay,
Corey,
great. Thank you.
Sorry, man. Yeah, Corey, I've been using Trello, which and this definitely looks a lot more organized and a lot better structured. Trello can get really messy. So I'm keen to jump on Asana and give it a sus. Is it possible for you to like share a template, like share that template with us so that we have like the bones of you know, the way that you structured everything there?
Yeah, absolutely. No problem
Oh,
at
that's
all.
awesome. Awesome,
Yeah.
man. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love
I
to.
I don't know whether I can share it across accounts. I'll suss out what we can do. If not, I can just like, I think you can even, because you can actually go through and highlight and copy everything and then paste. So I may be able to grab all this text, copy, paste it, and it may be able to, like if I do that, then I can control C that. If I drop all that text in a doc, you might be able to, it might be a bit of a hack that you can just do it straight into Asana, because I know that works in Meta when you do that. I figured that out one day.
Yeah, that's awesome,
great.
man. Even that'll be handy. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, no probs.
Make it a lot easier for us.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cool. So that's Asana. Then, and just to give you guys an idea for the contractors as well. So for example, this is our Sellout one. So this is Roan. So Roan is our full-time absolute weapon videographer and designer. She is an absolute machine. And so this is her little projects that we have. So we just have new tasks in progress for review and then non-urgent. So I always like to make sure that they've got enough stuff to do, because otherwise they can tend to fill the time just with the shit that you've briefed them. So I always like to have non-urgent tasks there where if they run out of stuff to do, then hey, you can chip away at just doing this. So it's really, really simple. Like just anytime you got a new task, put in whatever the hell it is, then use Loom. If any of you guys aren't using Loom, just download it today. It's so good. And that's what I use to make all those videos and everything in the Sellout Academy that you would have seen, where I record the screen and all of that.
Yeah.
That's Loom. And you just literally click one button up here, start recording the screen, and then as soon as you finish, I'll do it. I'll show you. So you click the button, 3, 2, 1. So it's recording the screen now. It's recording everything that we're doing. So you can click around, give them instructions. For example, like I went into this. So I would talk through this document and say, hey, Roan, I need you to edit this video. So I just want you to remove the first 6 seconds, and I'll talk through these dot points. So she has exact context of exactly what to do. So I've just stopped the video then, and then it just pops up there, and then instantly, bang, it's got a link. And then you just drop the link in, and then she can just watch that video. So it's recording the screen now. It's cool. So easy.
So with getting with these contractors like charging you, will they just do like little bits and pieces as they go? Then they'll keep a track of, okay, is that where Clockify comes in? Will they keep a track of the hours they're working? Then at the end of whatever period, then they'll just invoice you monthly based on all the little jobs that they do. Is that how it works?
Yeah, correct. And
Okay.
so for someone like Roan, for example, she's full time, so it's a bit different. But with your other contractors, generally, if they're just doing bits and pieces, it's fine to keep them on Upwork. So if you've just got them there and they're just, hey, I need you to fix this, or, a couple of random tasks, just keep them on Upwork, no worries. But if you do end up getting someone who's really good and you put them on, say, 10, 20, 30 hours a week or whatever it is, that's when you might look to move them off, and then they can use Clockify. But the Upwork system in itself is really good. It tracks everything that they do. So they'll go to start working for you, then they'll just say that they've started, and then it tracks their screen. It takes screenshots periodically of what they're doing. It tells you how many mouse movements they make, so they can't just sit there and do nothing. It tracks it, really well.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So, Slack. Have any of you guys used Slack, or do you use Slack?
Yeah, I use it for my day job.
Cool. Yeah, so Slack's really good, handy to always just have. So generally, if you hire the contractor, you add them into Slack as well, and then you can just chat to them at any one time. So this is kind of what it looks like. It's literally just like a much better version of having 10 WhatsApp chats, which we generally all do. So you can have your different channels of your discussion points, what you want to talk about, everything like that. And then you've got your DMs with your team and whatnot. And then that way you can just use Asana and Slack to then communicate with these guys. So I might just go in here, and so you can see I've written some questions. Then Roan has said, here's the video. Then she's dropped it in. I've gone, it's approved. We also need a 4x5 version. So you can communicate in Asana, but then I might say, if I've just written a reply, just if I want to let her know, she'll get a notification, but just in case, I might then go on Slack and then drop the link in here and say, hey, Roan, I just gave you an update. Or if it's something really quick that you need, you can just drop it in and just give it to them. So really good to use. Again, free plan, no dramas at all. You can use Slack for free unless you want to start doing like cross account communications and bringing other people in outside your organization and stuff. But
and it's got a message limit, I think, is the other thing. Like
yeah,
it's a stupidly high number, but it's
10,000.
Yeah,
but it's not a limit that you can write. It's a limit that it will store.
Yeah,
so
correct.
It stores the last 10,000 messages, which is totally fine.
Do you know if you get integrated? Because we use like Jira for our task at my day job, and that integrates into Slack.
Yeah,
and, like, it updates and stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember that old platform.
Yeah. So do you know if Asana you could potentially integrate it, so all the updates and stuff might pop in Slack straight away without you having a copy?
Yeah, it does. It does integrate. You can integrate Asana, you can integrate Loom, you can integrate
Cool.
Google Drive, you can integrate all of it. I generally find that for me, sometimes it gets to be a bit more annoying than
Yeah, a bit spammy.
than good. So that's why I don't do it. And I just, if there's anything really specific that I need urgently, I'll ping them in Slack. And then just for general chat as well, because sometimes you'll find that, oh, hey, I need you to just do this quick thing. There's no point writing a task. It's like a 2-second job. You can just quickly ask them in Slack and it's easy. Cool. So we went over Asana, we went over Slack, we went over Loom. Google Drive, I don't think we need to spend too much time on that. Everyone's pretty familiar with Google Drive.
Yeah.
What about Canva? Who's using Canva? And if not, what are you doing sort of design-wise?
I used to do all the artwork on Canva. And yeah, even like little basic stuff, like say for putting something out with like birthday deals or whatever, it's quicker and I guess cheaper for me to do it on Canva than get the designer to do it. And even videos, like if you get an after movie or something, and if you want to put some text on it saying this is what you get for your birthday package, that stuff's easy on Canva.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what you want to do to get the best out of your design and your video for your campaigns is so you generally have a concept designer. So they'll be the ones that actually do the artwork. They'll come up with the concept. And then what you want to do is get outputs from them that allows you to then get an output designer or yourself in Canva or whoever from your team to actually use that concept inside Canva. So what we'll generally do is we'll get an asset pack from the concept designer. So yes, we'll have all of our posters, social, stuff, story versions, all those different sizes, but then we'll get them to give us the PSD, so the raw or the AI or whatever they've used, so the vector file. And then we'll generally get them to give us some elements, like a little element pack. And so you may have like I don't know, whatever it is, whatever the artwork is, a face or little swooshes and little designs and bits and pieces. I'll get them to send those specifically, so we can then use those in Canva. And then also the lockup of, if you're doing an event with a lineup, we'll get the lineup lockup as well. So then we can drop that across all of our different designs. So I'll show you an example. So for REM, this is how we have our Canva structured. Every different event, we have a different folder for. So for example, I'll use Reminisce Trance at the moment that we've got live. So these are all our sort of different designs. For our hype videos, for example, so these are our different videos, but you can see the lineup lockup in here and the logo that we've got. We can easily just grab that from in here. So see all these different little elements, tickets on final release. There's the lineup lockup there on the left. There's the Sydney one. There's the logo. We got just the actual icon that we can use. All of these different elements. And then if we go back to, say, Reminisce from House from earlier in the year. A product of our own volume. There's so many fucking photos in here. So, and as well, another tip reminds me as I'm doing this, just use as many photos as you can at your disposal. So get your best of, after each event, go in, just drop them in Canva, then they're in there. Then you can just, whenever you're flicking through, you want to make something, you've just got all these really good photos and videos already in there at your disposal. So you can see here on the left, this was part of the design. It was more spray, sort of arty, overspray sort of vibes. So we got him to make us these like ripped, ripped little designs, this sort of stuff. Just little elements that really help you be able to, you know, muck around with them and make some good good assets.
Normally, Corey, I would do my design on proprietary software like Final Cut Pro or Affinity Design. Would you say that Canva can hold its own against that? Because it seems like it's a much better way to go using Canva.
Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying before about that sort of stuff. If you're going to do the concepting and do the concept designs, you might want to use something like that, because in terms of the functionality and the power of being able to create something from scratch, they're probably better. But in
Right.
terms of just speed and execution and being able to use video as well, like these videos are just so good. You literally just duplicate, bang, you know, drop another video in there, boom, you've got another one. You've got your overlays. It's just drag and drop, you know, so easy. So you want to kind of have your, like I said, your concepting and then your output. Whether you're doing the concept yourself or another designer is, you want to kind of think of them separately. But again, for $20 a month, Canva is just, it's worth its weight in gold because it just allows you to be able to output, you know, so much more.
And it's got a good library of like little graphics and photos and stuff. So it's like you don't have to. Sometimes it's easier to just have ideas in front of you, than like, you know, if you're not really a graphic designer, then come up with your own sheet when you're using Photoshop.
Big time. Yeah, the templates sometimes are really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Yeah.
Oh, Corey, I was going to say, like, how I normally use Canva is what I'll do for some of the events is I'll get the designer to create like a separate just like a background, for instance, and then use that as a template for Canva just to create, like, for instance, just say final release tickets out now, or even putting artists headshots and all that onto the background that the designer has created.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think that you can generally brief your designer in to say, because they're pretty versed in Canva, even though some designers don't like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can just say, hey, can you create us a few Canva templates? And then they'll
Yeah.
make you some sort of different ones that you can just drop in there, and then you can
Mhm.
muck around with them and use them for various things.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest stuff with Canva.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
But
does
yeah, you'll
how
get
does that
pushback
$20
sometimes.
plan? Sorry, mate. How
Oh
does
no, I
that
was just
$20
saying
plan?
you
Oh, go ahead.
get pushback sometimes from designers there. They don't necessarily like to use it. But for me, I'm just like, my biggest thing that I whinge about is it's got to be in Canva. It's got to be in Canva, because quite often I'll wake up and be working at 6 a.m. and then my designer's not online till 11, and then I really just want to do something right now. It's like, I'll go to Canva. I just need to change one thing, but they've done it on Photoshop and it's in the drive. You know, it's really frustrating. So you want to kind of try and push, yeah, everything into Canva where possible.
And how's the functionality for multiple users so you can check in on the work?
Yeah, it's good. It'll add you to, so what we do for Reminisce, we just use one login, which is really easy.
Right.
Yeah, so for Rem, everyone just logs in through the one. For Sellout, because there's things in there that I want to keep private just to myself, like all my sales, business development documents with, you know, pictures and all that sort of stuff that I don't necessarily want the whole team to see. We've got multiple accounts, but I think it's $17 or $20 per user, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's easy enough just to use a solo login if everyone can see everything.
Thanks.
No probs. Cool. Did you guys have any more questions on that, on Canva, on the outsourcing stuff, on anything that we've gone through before we sort of jump into each person?
I
No.
was gonna. Oh, go. Oh, I was gonna say also. How for instance, what scale events would you recommend outsourcing? Like, minimum 200-300 events or 500 events or 1,000 events? Like,
I think
when
that,
is it worth it?
yeah, I think any size, to be honest, like there's definitely things that you would be spending time on, that you could be spending better time doing other things, other more valuable tasks that are going to bring you in sales, than sort of doing legwork stuff. So even if it's someone to just start off with basic socials, following and engaging, growing your Instagram, helping out with edits of designs,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff, it's definitely worthwhile. And just start small. You don't have to go crazy and hire 10 people or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just I do a big list of all the tasks that you do from start to finish when you're doing an event, and have a look at what you think takes up the most time and what potentially you would feel comfortable outsourcing, and then start nice and simple. Cool. All right, guys. Well, let's do a quick whip around the room. So I'm just going to start from top to bottom on my screen. So yeah, Sin, tell me how everything's been going from your end and what's the latest. The last time I chatted, you'd sold out your latest event. So that's exciting, mate.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, party's actually this Saturday. We sold out a couple of weeks ago. That's my chunk, one of my gay parties that I run. It's predominantly always done really well. I mean, there's the scene is there for it. Also have Melbourne Hard Transfer Union that I'm one of the three partners in. That's happening on the 13th, and that's really close to a sellout as well. Again, another party once a year that does really well. So yeah, sitting on a couple of parties that are both doing really, really well. So, I've been implementing everything that you've showed us, especially with the promo side of things and the reels and trying to capture the right kind of content to create that FOMO. Yeah, so it's been exciting implementing everything that I've been learning here into that as well. I suppose my big tests are going to be October. I'm doing a trip, one of my hard trans parties, and a trans one as well coming up in the later part of the year. And they're the ones that have done pretty good, but haven't really sold one out yet. So they're the ones that I'm really, really wanting to focus my attention on, using everything you've showed to get that sellout on those parties coming up. But yeah, it's been a good few weeks. Yeah.
Awesome, mate. Good to hear.
Thanks, man.
So what do you think at the moment what's your greatest challenge? What's stopping you from selling out those parties that are coming up?
Great question. I know that I definitely have not been utilizing ads properly. Like, I had never created my own audience until very recently. So I know that there's lots of gaps in what I've been doing. And considering they've still been successful, I mean, 7 years we're still running. So I know that if I can just fill the gaps, like Facebook marketing, maybe more pre-sale stuff, like creating more of a hype before the party, creating pre-sales, giving people incentives to purchase, getting some influencers on board, a promo team. These are all, I've basically been like a one-man show until very recently. And so like spreading my wings and, using contractors and, increasing the team, I think they're the things that I need to improve on. And that's what I'm trying to, focus on that. And of course the Facebook ads game as well.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, when you emailed me the other day and said sold out without any ads, I thought, well, that's a good place to start, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think maybe. So when are you launching?
So I'm going to launch for a trip week after MHCR. So going to be the 20th of, probably the 15th of July week. So in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and the party's not till October, so it's giving it a bit of a, it's the demographic is older, 35 plus. So
Yeah.
I'd like to give them a lot of time to get their shit together. So yeah, a bit of an extended campaigns will give me lots of time to, to try and track everything properly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that with the older demographic, we find with Reminisce as well, they never, it's people say, oh, everyone just buys at the last minute. Well, they actually don't Reminisce at all. Everyone buys at the start and then during the campaign. We find that they never really come home like selling hundreds and hundreds of tickets, in the last week every day. Because people have already planned, they've got a babysitter or they're, whatever.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah,
well
yeah.
planned. They're not just going to go, oh, let's go out and have a massive bender. Like it's not what we do anymore, right?
That's right, exactly.
So yeah, that's definitely something to consider, and that's worth considering with your budget splits and everything like that for your ads.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
But I think you've absolutely got some low hanging fruit there. If you haven't done ads yet, you can take it like what you were saying, what you've been learning, and roll that out. Are you going to do a pre-sale?
I'm not sure. I did implement something that you said. I did the email pre-sale with Chunk Brisbane that we launched just last week. So because the events aren't, they're not like once a year large headliner type of events to try and generate enough interest to create that kind of pre-sale. But I do love the idea of giving the email subscribers an incentive to check their emails. So before we do our main launch, 24 hours, do an email pre-sale only. That's something I did for Chunk Brisbane, and something I'm considering, instead of doing the usual pre-sale, doing that kind of pre-sale.
Yep. Awesome. I think that's a great shout. And don't discount SMS as well. SMS is really, really powerful because it's pretty much 100% open rate. So always take if you're taking people's email address, take their phone number. So you always want to make sure you're taking their first name so you can personalize the emails, first name, email address, and phone number at a minimum. And then that way you can then use SMS, especially if you don't have a massive, huge database. Like SMSs can get expensive if you've got really big databases. But if not, you can, $100 or $50 and you can still SMS quite a few people, and you know that that's going to be read by them. So usually what we do is we'll save our big SMS to the general on sale, and then as we go on sale to the general public, we'll SMS the entire database and say tickets are on sale now. That way they can go bang, click the link and buy. They don't have to wait for a pre-sale or whatever. And then we always SMS the pre-sale subscribers the pre-sale link. So if we're going on sale at midday, we'll send the pre-sale link in email at 11, so an hour before, and then 10 minutes before the on sale, we'll SMS everyone the pre-sale code and link as well. That's a pretty good structure to follow.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Cool. Awesome, mate. Oh, looking forward to seeing how it all rolls out.
Yeah, cheers, Corey.
Cool. Travis, I know we've got our one-on-one still to come up, but yeah, it'll be good to sort of get an idea of what's next on the agenda for you guys.
Sure, mate. We've got a couple of really important shows coming up. Basically, we're working with a different company, a different group of venues, and we need to impress them. Also, we've got a film shoot happening at one of these shows, so we need to sell as many tickets as we can. So basically, that's where we're at, is just trying to break that glass ceiling of where we've been at with ticket sales, reach the fans, the true fans of the Blues Brothers out there, and start filling some venues.
Yep, awesome. Yeah, it can be a tricky one when you sort of being held accountable from venues and whatnot. It's definitely a challenge that a lot of people have. Yeah. And so because I had a look at all of your stuff, obviously had a bit of a brief look over everything. Everything looks pretty good. I think just probably the volume of output that you guys can increase. Sorry, guys, I've got a standard Paran fire truck going past.
Yeah, so volume, you think is really the most important thing for us.
Yeah, I think, and it's always hard when you're kind of wearing a lot of hats at the same time, can be very time poor. So I think focusing on these things that can really help you guys, amplify what you're doing, is probably going to be the main focus where we can start.
Okay, well, we can talk about that perhaps when we have our one-on-one, just in terms of if you have any goals for us in terms of volume.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I think and this kind of goes for everyone as well, but we'll start with your sort of end goal, where are the gaps, and then what we want to attack first, and then roll it out from there.
Okay, beautiful.
Cool. Awesome. And if you've got any questions or anything in the meantime with what you're working on before we catch up, just drop it in the group in the Sellout Academy, and I can help out as well. Cool. Dan, you're up next, mate.
Yeah, I've had a good week actually. I did the pardon me, I made the survey and sent that out to my existing guests, but also did some ads as well and got some really good feedback. A few rude comments in there as well, which made me want to kind of write to them directly and tell them not to come. But
Yeah.
yeah, but overall, really good comments. So it's going to set us up to create this new party really well. It confirmed a few things that we thought already, but also highlighted a few different things too. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
great to hear.
good.
How many questions did you manage to whittle it down to?
I got it down to 7, I
Yeah, nice.
think. 7. Yeah, and it was all kind of what do you call it? Multiple choice, and then the last question was write whatever you like. So
Yeah, cool.
like tried to keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's generally a good strategy to go after. You want to give them a place to write whatever they want, but keep it simple. And I generally as well like to have the questions if you've got stuff that you need to ask that's a little bit more complex, or maybe it's not a multi-choice, they actually need to write something, put those at the end. So then that way they'll get their momentum. They're like, oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, they answer some quick questions, they're invested in the survey, and then that's when they'll start to give you the gold towards the end. So it sounds like you set it up right.
Yeah, it was good. And the ads, they ran okay, but I seem to get more feedback from my existing guests. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think a bit of tweaking on however I did the ads would be good. But
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
pretty common. You'll obviously always get better response from the people who know who you are. But yeah, it's also good to get some fresh eyes on it as well.
yeah, cool. But yeah, next step is to set up the party and start teasing and pre-launching it.
Yeah, awesome. So when's launch? What's the dates? I think we did speak about it the other day.
Yeah, I think we're beginning of July now. I'd like to have the launch because I still don't have artwork and I still haven't decided on the name. So it's all a bit really early stages, but it would be great to have everything locked in by the beginning of next week and kind of launch by the end of next week.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Exciting. Oh, that's good. So with your data, how many responses do you think that how many responses did you get?
I got about 350.
Awesome. That's incredible. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a really what do you call it, active group on Facebook.
Yeah.
So they got right into it. Yeah, 356 responses. So yeah, it was a really good cross section. Yeah.
That's brilliant, mate. Very good. I love it. Love to hear it. If you want to, yeah, next one that you do, or even these results or whatever, if you want me to have a look over anything, see if I can give any tips for next time or whatever, just, yeah, let me know. No problem at all.
Yeah, cool. Oh, thank you.
Cool. Diego, how are you going, my man?
Pretty slow. To be honest, I haven't spent a lot of time on it. I've just been yeah, a lot on external outside projects and everything for client work as you do, but I haven't been spending a lot of time on it. And I've only just coming round to it now to start implementing a lot of the strategies. Starting to dig more into the ad side of it and everything, but because I got so much legacy stuff there, I've got to do a big cleanup and just resorting out of things, and I'm trying to do that in the midst of all this other stuff that I've got going on. So to be honest, not a lot to report, but just on something previous that you were talking about with the SMS stuff.
Yep.
Is that a specific program platform that you're using, or are you using that through Audience Republic or?
Yeah, so the Audience Republic SMS is expensive, and also it comes from a US number. So it'll say like +1, and you can't personalize the from name. So we don't use SMS through Audience Republic. We use Burst SMS.
Yeah.
They've generally been pretty good. There's a bunch of other, different services that you can use, but for us, Burst has been okay. They're generally will negotiate the price down as well. So I would, if you're going to use them, just reach out to them when you sign up. You can kind of fluff it up a little bit and say, oh, we're planning on growing massive and whatever, to try and get the rate down, and they'll generally drop it down. And then if you do continually start to use them and your database does start to grow, periodically reach out to them and say, hey, we've got more data now, we're sending more SMSs. What can you do for us? And we generally find that they'll drop the rate.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, but not a lot of other stuff. I'm hoping next week or whatever, I'll have some more to say.
Yeah, cool. So what's the event date again?
Friday, 26th of July. So
Okay.
still got about, somewhat 4 weeks, just under 4 weeks.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's generally been a slow burn. It's a new event. It's generally a 35 or 30 plus, event. And yes, everyone, kind of pre-plans, their events and stuff at that age group. So, but I'm trying to, I'm gonna, for this next month, for the rest of it, just leverage the artists that are involved, the DJs and all those guys, and start making sure that we're pumping some ads through their channels as well and from them as well. But yeah, it's just been, and it comes down to not having implemented a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here. Yeah, so that's probably why it's a little bit slow, but I've got to get my ass in the gear basically.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things, as we spoke about before, we're all time poor. Everyone's got a million different things on. So sometimes it comes down to, prioritization and working out, okay, we'll sit down. I know I've got to do, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but what's the A and B? What are the things that we think are going to move the needle the most? So if you think that is, trying to leverage the artists and everyone who's involved, trying to leverage their audience. If you don't have a massive ad spend budget, so to speak, it may be focusing on those guys to drum up hype. I'm not sure what your messaging's like, but sometimes if I've got a campaign that's a bit flat, that's just sitting there, I sometimes go the other way. And so, because you can go, we need to sell tickets. Oh, let's put up, so many tickets remaining. Let's use scarcity. Let's just reach into our sort of bag of tricks and pull out the same trick all the time. But sometimes I say, no, guys, let's flip it. Let's just go hype for a couple of weeks where all we're doing is just talking about the vibes, putting out videos. I know you don't have a past event, so it does make it really hard and it can feel like a bit of a grind. But trying to sort of get everything at your disposal to try and just push out the hype and that it's going to be fun, and focusing on that side of it. And then you can sort of switch into the run home, which might be 2 weeks to go. That's when you can really, sort of dial it up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I see a lot of events do, or all these release tickets and last left and all, and do the run home and stuff. But I listened to your podcast the other day, and and even you just mentioning, talking about using words, creating the vibe, talk about what the event, how exciting it's going to be and everything. And if you're not a copywriter, I've got some words, and I just use your co-pilots and your AI writers and everything. You just throw it into that, modify it, throw it back into your ads or into your posts. They're already 1,000% better than what you can write on your own, and it's cool. It just generates that excitement. So I do a lot of creative work, and I find that if something's not grabbing me and getting me excited about it, then it's going to fall flat for somebody else, So if I'm inputting, graphics or words or pictures and stuff like that, to push these posts along, if it gets you excited about it, then it's going to have that same reaction to your public as well. So
I love
so yeah,
that. I love that quote, mate. I've quite often think about that myself. Sometimes you think, hang on, if this isn't lighting me up, then no one else is going to be as well. So it's a really
absolutely.
good gauge.
Yeah, awesome.
Love it. All right, we'll move on. So Amjad, what's the latest, mate? How's Seeing Double going?
Good. We're thought we'd change things up, and we're having our first themed party this weekend. And I've managed, so I swapped to Eventbrite so I could get the cookie firing for the purchase event, and I've set that up. I think it's all working good. Based on the last few workshops, I've set up a traffic and conversions ad, set up ads to the artist page. It's all getting good reach and clicks and stuff, but the conversion one hasn't converted. So I don't know, I probably need to look into that one.
Yeah, it's with that, the conversion, it really will come down to the numbers. So if you're doing traffic and you're doing conversions, this is really important for everyone. When you're working with smaller budgets and you're working out, okay, should I spend on video views? Should I spend on traffic? Should I spend on conversions? Sometimes you can be better off not worrying about conversions if you've got a small budget.
Yeah.
And if you're only getting 1 or 2, sales and it's not firing, then you might say, okay, let's just try traffic.
Cool.
I generally I'm finding at the moment, video views aren't really getting the job done in terms of, I'm finding that you can use if you're using video views or traffic, you can generally use the engagement. So people who are liking, commenting, sharing, click through, have a look at the people. And if you're noticing that all these people just doesn't feel like they're in your target market, that's a really good indicator whether you need to change things up or not. And I'm finding that with video views campaigns at the moment, that they're not really hitting the mark. So I'm really only using traffic or conversions. And then you want to say, okay, if I've only got, $20 or $50 a day to spend, I'm going to try and do it all with conversions. And if it gets going, great. But if it doesn't, then you maybe need to switch to traffic, because you can sometimes shoot yourself in the foot if you try to do both. And then that way there won't be enough spend in the conversion campaign, to get it going. So you'll just have to play around with the mix a little bit and just test it and try it.
Yeah, I think our traffic campaign is doing good. And even the one going through the artist page is doing well as well. But yeah, and I also spent a bit of time building a new website as well, so that's looking much better.
Awesome.
Yeah, just learning new shit.
Yeah, love it. Did you end up updating the Instagram look?
No, I did. No, I forgot about that. I did mention it to the boys, and I think it was just lost in conversation. But no, I need to action that actually.
But yeah, it is like the grid though. The grid is looking more consistent.
Yeah,
which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just needs the tiles for the highlights and a new logo, a new DP that'll tie in with the rest of the grid.
Big time, because that just it really reminds me of a rainbow paddle pop.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I gotta
the artwork looks, it looks great, and obviously it's consistent with Circus's look as well.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe we were trying to add our flair, plus have the Circus like floral, animal, funky kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're coming up on 2 years in August, and we're gonna have a big fucking party for it.
Oh, awesome, mate! Love it. Good to hear. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people posting about it lately as well. When you like see a yellow car and then all of a sudden there's 100 yellow cars on the road. I think.
Yeah. Nah, because for the pink party, we got a bunch of our residents and we did like a photo shoot on the Circus rooftop, and so it got all of them sharing it, and everyone's talking about all these pink photos on the rooftops. It's created a bit of a buzz.
Awesome. That's what we love to hear.
Yeah, and the other thing was what happened? Yeah, that meta verification thing. I got in touch with someone on Help, and they said, "Oh, you gotta have a verified page along with your business," because I verified the business.
Yeah.
What was missing was our tax file number, and then it auto-populated the business, and that all worked. But that guy in Help came back and said, "Oh, you have to have a verified page along with the verified business." So
yeah, that's absolute garbage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
gotta jump back on help and this. I didn't have enough time that day to, because
Yeah. So with Meta, and as I'm sure most of you guys know, I'm sure you've all had your Meta nightmare stories. But yeah, a lot of the time, the people that you speak to actually just have no fucking idea what they're
Yeah.
talking about. They're honestly just
Yeah.
reading from a manual. And even some of the recommendations that they'll make to you for the ad campaigns, I'm like, mate, that will literally ruin my campaign, what you just said. So yeah, definitely don't take what they say as gospel, but it still doesn't solve your problem. And it's actually quite frustrating because yeah, that's just it's plain and simple not true.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
Yes.
hindering what you're doing.
Yeah, it wasn't an issue because this act we're having on Friday, he doesn't have a verified page, so it worked out fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I gotta jump back on the help thing and
Maybe start just typing a few certain things in Google. I find when I have things like this, I type it in, and quite often you'll find there's people that have asked questions in forums or help
Yep.
desks or Reddit or
yeah,
Quora or whatever, and then you can find that people have had the same issue, and then sometimes that leads to you go, oh, okay, if I just do this, it might fix it.
yep. Yeah, I don't know. I did that and I don't know. I didn't get anywhere. But now I think I'll have to jump back on help. And yeah, like you said, that guy didn't fucking know what he was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. See
And
how you go with it. And yeah, if you
Yeah.
need anything, just drop it in the
Yeah,
group
cool.
and we'll try and nut it out together.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks, Corey.
No worries, mate. All right, Sebastian, how are you traveling, mate?
Yeah, decent, mate. I'm just like, because I'm doing a show on the 13th just to catch everyone up, and it's all new material, and that's a lot. So trying to fucking juggle
Yeah.
this and then also the marketing. I sort of, to what you said about sort of like sometimes you step back and stop trying to just fucking push tickets and try to push a vibe. I'm just engaging with Instagram more. And that's been paying off really well. The ad that I ran, I did like a close-up show as a variety thing. So heaps of people from the Magic Festival were there, and they all said that they had at the very least seen my poster. They didn't say that they fucking liked it, but they definitely saw it.
Yep.
So that ad worked great. And then just from being engaged with it, my followers are up 3%. My engagement's up 244%, and I've reached 10,000 accounts in the last 30 days, which is way more than I normally do. Hasn't really impacted ticket sales all that much, but I think that I'm leaving it a little bit fucking late in the day to try to do that. There's this sort of, I'm trying to figure out how many people are actually undecided. You know, it's hard to get that idea of like how many people are on the fence and what it would take to convince them. Because if they were going to buy tickets, they either are going to do it like 3 days out because they're very much, because my audience is like me and they just leave shit to the last minute, or they've already bought them. The show's in a good spot, sold 100 and some change, still got 150 left, so there's plenty of room to grow. But you know, I'm getting all the footage so that I can push that. I learned that you can set whatever image you want for your reels in your grid, so that I don't have these random shots of like live magic performance, which aren't necessarily aesthetic. And I've just gone for cat pictures, pictures of my cat. And you know what? I don't think anyone's noticed, but it makes me a lot happier. And at the very least, he's a well-lit cat with colors that match the rest of my brand. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I reached out, I threw something out to Upwork because I've got this massive backlog of performance material that I figure if I can just give fucking 10 gigabytes worth of stuff to some dude in Bangalore and he can just trim it down into 30-second snippets of me doing good jokes and people liking it. The reel that I made from the show I just did is performing really well. And that's literally just live performance with a focus on the jokes. Like there's a bit of magic, but it's mostly jokes, which is great because I've got jokes for days and they are social media proof because can't watch a joke over and over again and figure it. Well, I mean, you can figure out how it works, but no one cares.
Yeah.
Magic's a little bit more fragile. So yeah, actioning some of the stuff. I'll be curious to see how it all goes. I think that like dealing with my own personal brand is kind of its own thing, but looking at that project rollout template that you just put up has me realizing just how deep the actual like producer side of it goes. And if I'm going to wear both hats, then I think there's a lot of stuff there about audience analytics and things like that that I'm going to have to start trying to wrap my bean around, which is fine. I'll take a bunch of Ritalin and get around it.
Yeah, I think for you and for Travis and his business partner, band partner Greg, I think being performers, I think you guys have a real opportunity there to. I don't know what your backlog's like, Travis, if it's huge like Sebastian's, but to be able to get someone on board and you can brief them into exactly what you said, just like, here's my backlog, here's what I want. I want, at least 3 posts a week going out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I need you to look at it all, log it all, and then set up a calendar, and then you can obviously feed back to them. They might say, oh, what about A, B, and C? And you say, oh, I want some pillars of, magic versus comedy, or whatever it ends up being. Give them a framework to work in, and then they can kind of go and do their thing. From the promoter point of view, it can be a little bit more work from the promoter side because you've got certain events and, that you need to create, and it's a little bit different. But the performer side, yeah, if you guys have just got a ton of content, man, like I said the other day when we caught up one-on-one, there's a huge opportunity there, and you really just need to sort of start getting stuff out. So I wouldn't, from your end, I wouldn't stress too much about needing to learn the real ins and outs of the, analytics and audience, the technical science side of it, just at the moment. Just knowing that, you're kind of wearing a lot of hats and you got a lot of shit going on and whatnot. I'd really just focus on that content engine. I'd just make that your absolute number 1 priority, because once that gets going, you'll find yourself really
and it
growing.
has ramped up significantly, like straight out the gate. I'm looking at the actual content went from 483 reached to, even going back to like my show announcement, started at 173, 372, 474, 483. And then when I started doing it consistently, 679, 928, 1300, 1500. And then my 2 ads did 3,800 and 4,800. Like, it's just like, and that's satisfying to look at. So that's given enough dopamine for me to stay engaged with it for sure.
Yeah, nice. I like it.
Yeah.
I actually just realized that this is the first group session that you've been on, Sebastian. So I didn't give you the floor to sort of introduce yourself. So I know we've been talking about it, but do you want to just do like a quick intro to everyone?
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, I'm Sebastian, or Mr. Marmalade, where I'm doing wizard shit. I'm sort of producing and promoting my own show at the moment, which is kind of a loss leader. I'm just doing a single one so I can record a bunch of content. I'm bringing in videographers. I'm doing exit interviews. I'm bringing in a photographer, getting all of that content and footage so that I can do a full season sometime later down the track. Then I'm fucking off to Europe for 7 weeks, and we're just going to make a shitload of European travel content, me and my partner. She does bubbles and I do magic. So we're going to go to scenic places, make all that a tax write-off, get a shitload of content. And then when I come back, I'm looking to start producing a series of cabaret and variety shows that are based in various, like, nudging right up against IP law, So I'm going to call it the Cabaret at the Edge of Reality. And the first one's going to be high elf fantasy themed. And then the next one will be like space, sci-fi and space. And then they can be, there's a bunch of them. So my reasoning for getting into this is that if I can figure out how to shift units, I don't have to keep coming up with all this content that takes me years to craft. I can bring in other performers, and I can just MC and do like 1 or 2 bits and produce stuff that is quite successful and has solid branding. So that's the dream, and that's where I'm at.
Love it, mate. And Dan and Sebastian, do you guys know each other? If not, you should.
Oh yeah. Hey Dan, how you doing?
Yeah, good. I'm just looking at your Insta here. It's really cool. You've got some good photos on there.
Yeah, I have been pretty precious about what I put on my page, which has obviously lowered the amount of stuff that I've queefed out. So now I'm like just content farming for a while and kind of letting aesthetics slow. But thank you, is what I meant to say. Yeah. Cheers, bro.
Dan does
Yeah.
Dan does
Anyone who's
a
running
very
events
cool
in
party.
Melbourne as well, I do fucking roving magic for them. Cookers love magic. I cannot stress this enough. They absolutely froth on it, and it gets really good social media engagement. Yeah, that footage is really good. So you know,
We might have to get a magician on for our second year anniversary party.
100%. I leave on the 13th, mate. When is it?
2nd of August.
Oh, I'll be back in
unfortunately.
September.
We'll have to
Yeah,
wait for
anything
the
after September.
third
can be
birthday.
done. Yeah. I can find you another wizard though. I know heaps.
All right.
Not as quite as good, but pretty good.
Love it. Well, gents, that pretty much wraps it up. We've all probably got lots on. That's getting close to 90 minutes. So if anyone has any last questions or anything, let me know. If not, we'll wrap it up. And really look forward to the next workshop. We'll probably do that in a couple of weeks, but I'm also just launching the next free workshop that we'll do to the public, which is going to be an event ads masterclass. So it'll be similar to the one that we did a couple of weeks ago, but there'll probably be some other stuff in there that you guys might not have seen. So you obviously are more than welcome to join that as well. Cool.
Cheers,
All right, gents. Well,
Cool.
have an awesome rest of the Wednesday. If you guys got any questions or anything, as always, shoot them out in the group, and we'll get this workshop followed up. Recording will be in the classroom, and looking forward to seeing you guys on the next one.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks,
Bye
Corey.
now.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
Nice
Thank
to
you,
meet you.
Corey.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye. See you, mate. Cheers.